Hey guys, this is Roxann Smithers with Smithers and Ume-Nwagbo, and this is another note from my Legalpad. So today we're going to talk about some strategies that you can utilize to enforce and secure your payment rights. As we all know, a major piece of doing business is making sure that you are promptly and accurately compensated for the goods and services that you provide. And a significant portion of our legal work with clients involves enforcing their payment rights. So we want to talk about some of the tips that really help strengthen your case to make sure that you're paid on time and that you're paid fairly for your goods and services. One of the first things that I'm going to look at are the terms of the contract between the parties. I'm going to look to see if the amount that's due is clearly specified or if there's a clear designation as to how to calculate the amount that's due. I'm going to look at when the amounts are due. So you want to make sure that your contract specifically states when payment is due, as well as the means by which payment is due. The next thing that I'm going to look to see is whether or not the contract includes a right for my client to collect interest on the balance that's due and owing. Interest is a helpful sort of stick in promoting prompt payment on time from clients and customers in order to avoid that accruing interest. I'll also look and see if the contract provides for a late fee in lieu of interest. Some individuals will have a simple flat late fee that is incurred daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on the invoicing cycle. The final thing that I'm going to look at in the contract, or one of the final things that I'm going to look at in the contract, is whether or not the contract will allow my client to recoup the costs that they are going to incur in order to pursue payment. It is one of the first questions that I get from a client is whether or not they're going to be able to get back the cost for the attorney's fees and litigation or arbitration or mediation that we're going to have to go through in order to collect their past due balances from their customers and clients. And the strongest and best way to do that is to have a provision in the contract. The next best way is if we are suing under a specific statute that provides for the recoupment of attorney's fees and costs. Otherwise, under the American system, generally courts do not award attorney's fees and costs simply because you're successful in your litigation. You have to have a contractual provision, a statutory provision that provides for it, or in the unlikely instance, you have to be able to establish that the other side has acted in such an egregious and bad faith manner that it would be appropriate for their court to award attorney's fees and costs. And once we've looked at those initial provisions in a contract, I'm also going to talk with my client and see whether or not the contract or they have other rights that are securing their payment rights. And the ways that you can secure your payment rights, besides what we've already discussed, is collateralizing some asset that may be related to the agreement or collateralizing the goods or the subject of the services that you are providing. You can specifically require in a contract that the customer or the client put forth specific assets as backing or collateral for their payment and their performance under the contract. You can specify that if you are providing goods or you are providing service on or to improve a specific asset, that you will have a secured interest in those goods or in that asset until your full balance is paid. And you can also request an assignment of proceeds or revenue that the customer or client may be expecting to receive as a direct benefit or related to the goods or services that you are providing. That can be particularly helpful if you're in a situation where a customer or client is intending to resell your goods, or you're working as a subcontractor on a contract where the customer or client is utilizing your goods or your services to provide them to another customer or client for payment. One of the ways that you will see those payment rights secured, particularly in the construction industry, are with liens. A lien puts an attachment on the title to the property. That can be personal property, a car, machinery. That can also be real property, meaning a commercial building, a factory, a home, or land. And that gives the individual holding that lien a secured interest and a flag on the title to that property until that debt is paid. Additionally, you'll often find in construction projects and other possible government-related projects requirements for payment or performance bonds. In that situation, your customer may be required to provide a bond or essentially an assurance policy that guarantees that they will pay on the project or pay for the goods or services. Those things are often required with government work. The final strategy that clients can employ, and that I recommend oftentimes that clients employ depending on the type of good or services they're providing, is to require deposits or upfront payments from the customer or client before work is started or ahead of any work that is going to be performed in phases. This gives my client more security that they are going to be able to receive full payment for the goods or services that they're providing. It clarifies that their customer or client has the funds to pay for the goods or services, and it eliminates the need to collect after the goods and services have been provided and consumed, particularly when the goods and services are of a type that cannot be recouped, that cannot be repossessed or otherwise attached. So in sum, the best way to secure your payment rights are to plan ahead, think in advance, and make sure that your contractual relationships include adequate tools to empower you to enforce your payment rights if necessary. You can find more information about the attorneys at Smithers and Ume-Nwagbo by visiting our website at stulawgroup.com. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And this has been a note from my Legalpad.